What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to my channel. I apologize for not getting this video out sooner. I know it's coming out literally probably right before games get kicked off on Friday. It's been a very busy week for me. Haven't had a lot of time. So I apologize for getting this out late. I'll try not to do that in previous weeks, but I've had a lot on my plate lately. So again, I apologize for getting it out late, but it's out. Week 3 predictions for the 2022 college football season, guys. The college football season is already crazy, and it could get even crazier this week. There are some pretty big matchups coming up this week that you guys are not going to want to miss. I got 13 more games for you, all of them taking place on Saturday. We're going to predict every single one of them. So I appreciate you guys clicking on the video. Thank you guys for liking, commenting, subscribing, whatever you do to help support the channel. It does mean a lot to me, and let's go ahead and dive on in to what I expect to see out of Week 3 and give you some of my Week 3 predictions here. We're going to start off with a pretty underrated matchup, in my opinion, coming out of Syracuse. Yeah, the Purdue Boilermakers are going to go on the road to play the Syracuse Orange. Now, this is a huge pivotal game for both of these two teams. By the way, all lines and odds are as of recording this video. They are subject to change. They probably will change, so please be aware of that. But Purdue and Syracuse, look, this is a very important game for both of these teams. Syracuse, I think a lot better than some people, including myself, thought they were going to be. I thought maybe finding wins for Syracuse was going to be hard. They seem to be rolling this upcoming season, or not this upcoming, I keep saying that, this season, the season that's happening right now. But Aiden O'Connell and company, whew, this is a passing attack that can tear up the Syracuse secondary, because Syracuse has kind of been struggling with their secondary over the two teams that they've played, even in slight moments against Louisville, a team that they probably, or when you go back and look, outright dominated. The Syracuse, their secondary kind of struggled against the passing ability of Malik Cunningham, and Aiden O'Connell, I think, is one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten Conference. So that's definitely going to be something to watch. But this Syracuse passing attack can answer too. Last year, it was all about the run. It was all about Garrett Schrader getting out of the pocket. It was all about Sean Tucker. This year, Syracuse is going to the pass a lot more than it was, and it's been effective. They're going to try to use it here against Purdue. But the thing I want you to watch is the run game, and run defense will matter a lot. Whichever team can get the running game going, whichever team can stop the run more effectively, I think is going to have a great shot to win this game. I think both of these passing attacks are going to make some shots and have some big plays. I think there's no question about that in my mind, but running attack and run defense is what's on my mind, and I give that edge to Purdue, which is my predicted winner for this game. So by Vegas odds, technically an upset, even though I do think that Purdue is the slight favorite in most people's mind, I would guess. They're the favorite in my mind, that's why I'm picking them. I'm picking Purdue to win by 4. This is the noon game on ESPN2. Again, very pivotal game for both of these two teams. I think this is going to be a back-and-forth affair. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Tune into this one if you love just some good college football. And both these programs, I mean, really important pivotal game for both of these teams as they try to enter conference play, gaining some momentum. The new #1 team in the nation, although I've had them at #1 for the past couple of weeks now, it's the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, this Georgia team is still ridiculous, and they're the 25-point favorite against the South Carolina Gamecocks. Look, flat out, this Georgia offense is a lot better than it was last year, and not saying that Georgia offense was bad last year, but this Georgia offense is just so dynamic. It didn't have to be against Samford. I think it only scored like 33, but again, you don't have to score a lot to beat Samford when you're the Georgia Bulldogs, and you have a really good defense playing behind you there as well. But, I mean, this offense is just ridiculous. Stetson Bennett is a really, really good quarterback. They have a lot of playmakers around him, around that offensive line, and the defense is, well, still Georgia's defense. You remember how good it was last year? Doesn't have as many playmakers as it did last year, but man, is this still one scary, scary defense. And speaking of defense, the Gamecocks defense is going to be depleted coming into this game. They're going to have a lot of star caliber guys out that could have given a little bit of a scare to this Georgia team. So there are going to be some young guys that they're going to have to step up big time if South Carolina is going to want to pull this thing off. And the thing that I'm interested to watch, Georgia hasn't really gotten the run game going quite yet, or it hasn't been as effective as some people maybe would have thought it was going to be coming into this season. It's been a lot of, again, Stetson Bennett and Brock Bowers and him connecting with wide receivers. The run game has been there, and it's been good at times, but overall just not what people have expected from Georgia this year. Meanwhile, this Gamecock run defense has been run all over. It got run over by Georgia State, and it got run over last week at Arkansas. If there's any time for Georgia to get the rush attack going, I think it's this game right here. I do think South Carolina beats the point spread, but I don't think that this one is close. I think Spencer Rattler and company are going to score some points, but Georgia's just way too good. Georgia is way too good for this team. In fact, I wouldn't even be surprised if Georgia won this game 42-7. Georgia is going to win this game. I have them winning by a score of 41-20. South Carolina's going to get pushed around. They have to play an almost perfect game in order to pull off the upset here in my mind, and I just don't think Spencer Rattler and company have what it takes to pull off the upset over the new #1 team in the nation. This is a big one here, right? The Oklahoma Sooners, ranked 6th in the nation, are going to go on the road to face the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Now, I am wearing the Husker jersey. I live in Nebraska, but Nebraska has been struggling these past couple years. Well, the man responsible for it all, Scott Frost, is gone. They fired him this past week. They actually fired him Sunday after the loss to Georgia Southern. And a quarterback in Kyle Van Treese that they were able to bully all of last year, former Buffalo guy going in to play Georgia Southern, and he tore up Nebraska's defense. And this Husker defense has got to improve. It's got to get better. This Oklahoma offense is too dynamic for the Huskers to make this a shootout type game, especially since the Sooners defense is much improved. Bringing Brent Venables in, a defensive-minded guy, he's turned around this Oklahoma defense, and while it isn't stellar and spectacular yet, it is so much more improved from where it was a season ago. This is an Oklahoma team that really can push for yet another Big 12 title. Could be the running favorites at this point, and really a spot in the college football playoff. Oklahoma is that good. Their offense is really good, of course, led by Dillon Gabriel. Again, like I just said, that defense is improving. And Nebraska, while that offense has been good for the most part this season, and Casey Thompson and company have done a good job moving the football and scoring points, oh man, this defense just... I don't even know where to start with this Husker defense. I mean, tackling has been a big issue for the Husker defense. They're giving up a lot of chunk plays. It's just nothing is working right now for this Nebraska defense. But enter Mickey Joseph, now that new interim head coach, while they search for a replacement later down the line for Scott Frost. What can Mickey Joseph do? Don't be surprised when you see Nebraska pull out a trick play or two, try to catch Oklahoma off balance, things like that. And the Huskers can make this game close, and I know this is not what Husker fans might want to hear, but I do think you're going to keep it close, Husker fans. I do not think you come out with the win, though. The big noon kickoff game on Fox, I have Oklahoma winning this one 35-28. If the Husker defense improves this week and shows that they are a much better defense than they were when Scott Frost was still that head coach, Nebraska's going to have a lot more of a shot to win this game. But as it stands, I think Oklahoma's offense is too dynamic, and I think their defense is just too improved. This game can become a shootout, but again, I think Oklahoma's defense is too improved. I got them winning this one 35-28. The Penn State Nittany Lions and the Auburn Tigers face off in a huge matchup in Jordan-Hare Stadium. This matchup was played last year when Auburn went on the road to play in Happy Valley. Penn State ended up coming away with the win in that stadium there. Now, Auburn's going to be looking for some revenge and to really get some momentum going here, as this is another huge game for both of these teams. Penn State, the slight favorite according to Vegas, 2.5 points as of recording this video. But let's look on the Auburn side of things first, right? TJ Finley has got to find his groove. Yes, Auburn is 2-0, but this Auburn team got tested a little bit against San Jose State last week. Now, the week before, they were not going to get tested against Mercer. That's just, no, that they were going to beat them. But San Jose State kept that game pretty darn close. And TJ Finley hasn't really been able to find his groove yet. I think has more interceptions than touchdowns so far this year, which he's got to figure that out in this game, because this is the Nittany Lions secondary that is scary. And it did some really nice things when it played against Aiden O'Connell of Purdue, a game that Penn State was able to go on the road and win thanks to a drive by Sean Clifford, who, by the way, is going to be a huge part of this game as well. Sean Clifford is going to be the guy for Penn State offensively. But they also have another guy on this offense. His name is Nick Singleton, as Penn State finally has a 100-yard rusher in a single game. That was Nick Singleton last week. Did it in a big way. I think 179 yards against Ohio. Can it continue here? This is an Auburn defensive front that's definitely going to be a lot more, let me rephrase. Penn State's going to be tested a lot more by this Auburn front than they were against Purdue or Ohio. This is a very aggressive Auburn front, and that's what I'm excited to watch too. Can Penn State's offensive line protect Sean Clifford? It's an offensive line that has still needed some work so far this season. Can it improve here? Not only for Sean Clifford being able to get in the pocket and throw, but also for the Penn State run game. There you go. Can it be beneficial for Sean Clifford and the Penn State run game to really get things going? And you know what? I just flat out like Penn State more. I think Auburn can win this game. I think Penn State can win this game. Flip a coin. I think this is really a 50-50 game here. But I do think that Penn State has proven a little bit more up to this point, and I think they are the more ready for this game. I have them winning a close one, nail-biter, kind of a grinded-out game, 23-21. I think this is going to be a very close game, very good game, but ultimately Auburn comes up just short. I'm going to favor the newly ranked 22nd Nittany Lions. Woo! How big of a matchup is this? For both teams. The Oregon Ducks are going to be looking to try to build some momentum here as they face off against the BYU Cougars. What a big win it was for BYU last week as they went and beat Baylor. Now, this BYU team still has some questions coming into this game. Most notably, will Puka Nacua and Gunnar Romney be available to play in this game? BYU did all of that against Baylor last week without their top two receivers. And they are still, as of this moment, as of recording this video, day to day. Will they be able to go and will they be able to ready to play? Will they be able to go? Will they be ready to play against the Oregon Ducks? That's a huge question that BYU is going to have to answer. And this BYU defense is ruthless. Ruthless. It was ruthless against Baylor. It was ruthless against South Florida. Can the Ducks bring some explosive offenses to maybe get this BYU defense on its heels? It was an explosive offense last week when they played Eastern Washington, yet couldn't get anything going when they played Georgia in that first game of the season. But, I mean, Bo Nix threw for 5 touchdown passes. I believe that's a career high last week. So this Oregon offense seemingly starting to find something that may be working for it. But I think the run game is going to be a huge difference maker here. BYU was not really able to get it going in that game against Baylor. Chris Brooks gonna look to end up being that guy for BYU moving forward at the running back position. Can he really get something going? And can this Oregon rushing attack really start to pick things up here as well? I think this is going to be a fun, entertaining game to watch. I'm looking forward to watch the improvements on both sides of the ball. And, I mean, I know Bo Nix gets a lot of crap and gets a lot of hate. I think Bo Nix has played as well as he can in an Oregon uniform, especially in that Eastern Washington game. Now, I know it's Eastern Washington, and he got smacked by Baylor, couldn't do anything right in that game. But against Eastern Washington, he looked good. I think he'll continue that momentum in this game. I just think BYU's defense is too good, and this offense, especially if Nacua and Romney come back, is just going to be too explosive. I don't think the Ducks have enough explosive weapons to win this game. I got BYU winning 34-30. I love what the Cougars are doing this year. And again, especially if they get those 2 top wide receivers back, this is going to be a scary BYU team moving forward into this season. The Ducks, I think, are going to play a good, hard-fought game. But at the end of the day, I just like what BYU has more. I like that they're more dynamic, and their defense, again, is just punishing. So I got the Cougars winning this one by 4. What a big game this is for Kansas, but also what a big game it is for Houston. Houston cannot afford to lose this game, and Kansas really just trying to gain some momentum, as this is the Kansas team that has already taken bounds and leaps forward. Can they take another one here as they face off against the Houston Cougars, who very well could still prove to be that best team in the group of 5? I don't believe any team out of the group of 5 is ranked, this season, unless you happen to count BYU. But Houston, I think with a win here, can really start on that path to becoming the best Group of 5 team in America. But Houston, in order to do that, look, man, they got to get that run game going. It's been a lot of Clayton Tune, Nathaniel Dell, and lots of other weapons out there working this Houston offense, which is not necessarily a bad thing, right? This is a good Houston offense, but, I mean, with Alton McCaskill out and not playing for Houston, I mean, they really got to find another weapon or two that'll pick things up and that'll get things going for this Houston attack. But Kansas has an emerging star on their side of the field. Jalen Daniels better be ready for pressure from everywhere. Houston loves to bring pressure from the side, up front. They like to mix up looks. This is a Houston defensive front that is just phenomenal at getting pressure to the quarterback. Now, Houston's secondary has also struggled as well. I don't know that Kansas necessarily has the weapons to air it out against this Houston team. Kansas is going to take some shots, and I think they're going to get one or two pretty big plays into the secondary in this game. But Houston, just too much talent. Clayton Tune, Nathaniel Dell, that defensive front. Kansas, this is a much improved Kansas team. Yeah, beating up on Tennessee Tech is one thing, but when you go on the road in a hostile environment and put up 55 points on what was on what should be a very much improved West Virginia team, that is some impressive stuff right there. Kansas may have to turn this one into another shootout if they want to go ahead and win this game here. But Houston, too many defensive weapons, too many great playmakers on the offensive end, and I think Houston is going to start to build some momentum here in this game. I got them winning this one by 10. This is a 4 o'clock game on ESPNU, so if you have the channel, I highly recommend that you watch that game, or not that game, this game right here. I think this is going to be a phenomenal game. I think Kansas at times can keep it close, but Kansas has done some really nice things this coming season. This is not your typical Kansas team from years prior, but Houston, I think, in my opinion, is still the best team in the Group of 5. So I'm picking the Cougars by 10 points, 34-24. The Wake Forest Demon Deacons, ranked 19th in the nation, are going to go on are going to stay at home as the Liberty Flames come to town. I apologize if that up there is hard to read. It is the Liberty Flames, who are 2-0 this season, and, well, this is going to be a hard game for Liberty to come on the road and win. As you see, Wake Forest 16.5-point favorite, and for good reason. Sam Hartman is back after a blood clot issue left him on the sideline. He is back. He's going to be playing here in this game. And the Demon Deacons just have too many downfield threats. But this is a Flame secondary that, wouldn't you know it, has actually been really good at defending the downfield pass so far. So I'm going to be interested to see whether or not Sam Hartman and company are going to be able to really get it downfield against this Liberty attack. I think they can. It's just a matter of the question is this Liberty secondary going to step up, or is it going to fold? This is going to be the most dynamic offense Liberty has played up to this point. Yet, it has some good wins to open off the season, especially that last week win against UAB, who I think is the best team in Conference USA. But Wake needs to put the pressure on. They got to get pressure back to the quarterback for Liberty. Do not let him make plays, because this Liberty offense has been moving and it's been grooving. It's been finding its rhythm, and it knows what works and what doesn't. So Wake Forest gonna have to figure out what works defensively and really put the pressure on. Again, this is the defense that's replacing their defensive coordinator coming into this upcoming season. We'll see what he can draw up here in this game. And then the turnover battle. This may be the most important stat of the game if Liberty's going to pull off this upset, because the Flames so far in 2 games have forced 9 turnovers. Yeah, you heard me right. 9 turnovers. You can even see it there on screen. 9 turnovers so far this season. That is ridiculous. That is insane. Liberty's going to have to make Sam Hartman and company turn the football over in order to get some scores off of those turnovers and keep themselves in this game. But I think Wake Forest is too dynamic. I think their defense draws up a couple of nice plays. And I do think Wake Forest is able at the end of the day to win this one fairly comfortably. I got them winning 37-24. This is a 5 o'clock game on the ACC network. Pretty interested to watch this one. Again, this is a not as dynamic of a Liberty team as it has been when Malik Willis was the quarterback, but this is a good enough Liberty team to give Wake Forest a scare if Wake Forest lets them. I don't think Wake Forest does, though. They win by 13. What a matchup this is, right? This is the pivotal game for both of these sides as well. But the Mississippi State Bulldogs are going to be going on the road to face off against the LSU Tigers in what's going to be a very telling game for both of these teams. Now, the quarterback battle here is very interesting as Mississippi State is the 3-point favorite. This is a very interesting quarterback battle. Will Rogers is a pass threat. He runs under the Mike Leach system, and he's one of the best passing quarterbacks in all of America. However, when you look on the other side, LSU and Jaden Daniels, he's been good for LSU up to this point. And, well, Jaden Daniels is probably one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the entire nation. So, when you look at the quarterback battle here, it's just going to be what style works better against the defense that they are playing against. That's going to be a big factor to watch in this game. The LSU gets a huge get back here, but John Emery is returning for the LSU Tigers this week. I believe was out for most, if not all, of 2020 with an injury, and then was dealing with some eligibility, academic issues for the first couple of games. But it sounds like he's going to be looking and ready to go here against Mississippi State in Week 3. So John Emery coming back may give a little spark to this LSU rushing attack and maybe let some of the pressure off of Jaden Daniels' shoulders when it comes to rushing the football. And like I talked about earlier, which defense has the better game plan? Again, Mississippi State loves to air it out, and they're going to hit you with some of those deep passes. And they're going to make plays on you. That's just what Mississippi State does. Versus the LSU offense where Mississippi State's going to have to defend both. They're going to need to defend the run. They're going to need to defend the pass. They're going to have to know where Jaden Daniels is at all times. He can get out of the pocket very quickly. He can release the ball pretty darn quickly as well. And he's got some weapons out there, most notably Keyshawn Boutte, the wide receiver there for LSU. And again, John Emery comes back this year. This is a very important game for both of these teams here. Mississippi State is looking to let America know that, hey, football fans, Mississippi State over here has taken the next step, and LSU is looking to right the ship over a poor past couple of seasons and a disappointing performance against Florida State. They beat up on Southern last week. This is a huge prove-it game for both of these teams, and this is probably the hardest game to predict that I am predicting today. Flip a coin. Do whatever you do to help decide an outcome because this really is a coin flip in my mind. But I'm going to go with the slight 3-point favorite here. I just have a feeling that Mississippi State's going to be able to pull this one out. A 6 o'clock game Eastern time on ESPN. A little bit of a weird time for what should be like a prime time matchup. But I got the Bulldogs coming out and winning this one. Maybe a late touchdown score, late field goal, whatever you have it. I do think Mississippi State walks away with the win on the road in Baton Rouge. And Mississippi State, hey, that's a team that is now looking really good as Mississippi State later down the line is going to get into more SEC play. The Texas Tech Red Raiders and the NC State Wolfpack, couple 2-0 teams that wear the color red, are going to be facing off here. And again, another pretty pivotal matchup. So Texas Tech going to be looking to gain some momentum in the Joey McGuire era, and NC State, who is still absolutely a contender in the ACC conference, going to be looking to build some momentum as they go into conference play. They got Clemson here in a couple of weeks, and I think this is going to be a really good game for NC State to figure out what works and what doesn't. Texas Tech is a good team, and I think they're going to challenge NC State, who's the 10-point favorite. Here's what to watch for. The Wolfpack's defense is really good, but it could be better. It has kind of struggled so far this season and hasn't really been all that we've thought it to be. Now, when I watched this defense, especially against East Carolina, at times this looked like the top 5 defense in the entire nation, but it kind of struggled last week, and it struggled the week before that at times there as well. So this defense has a potential to be really, really good, but it needs to improve, and it's got to start getting better this week because, again, this is the Texas Tech offense that's coached by offensive coordinator Zach Kittley, and they can really, really do a lot of damage if things get moving. Can Donovan Smith deliver again, there as well for Texas Tech, something that's not on the screen, but you should watch out for. Anyway, now the Red Raiders pass rush. This is a really good pass rush here for Texas Tech, but the Wolfpack's offensive line have done a very good job at protecting Devin Leary so far. So both teams, some's going to have to give, right? Either NC State's going to give up a sack or the Texas Tech pass rush is going to be pushed back. One of the two is going to give in this game, and whichever one it is, that team that comes out the winning side of the battle is going to have an edge in that part of this game, and that's a huge edge. A huge edge. And, well, the offenses are going to hit their shots here, right? Both offenses have some really good playmakers, especially, again, Donovan Smith played well last week. Devin Leary's one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC, if not in the entire nation. He's got a lot of playmakers around him as well, so this is going to be a very telling game for both of these teams. Again, I'd watch out for that Red Raider pass rush coming at Devin Leary. That's going to be very interesting to watch. And Texas Tech, I think, is going to keep this one close. But I think Texas Tech maybe has one more year before they can pull off big games like this. They just beat Houston, but that one was at home. Now going on the road in a hostile environment to play an NC State team that could win the ACC this year with a first-year head coach, first-year offensive coordinator, I think they get close. I really do. I think Texas Tech gets close, but I do not think it happens. 7 o'clock game on ESPN2. I got the Wolfpack winning this one by 3. And then going into conference play, I think NC State has built some nice momentum for itself this season so far. So being able to beat some pretty solid teams there in East Carolina and Texas Tech, both those teams figure to be pretty solid this year from what from what we and I have seen so far. Texas Tech is going to give the Wolfpack a scare, but I do like NC State to come out on top of this one here. Michigan State and Washington are going to be facing off in a pretty interesting game here. The Spartans' run game is going to have really their first real test. Now, Western Michigan and Akron were outmatched when it came to the passing game, but the run game, last year it was all Kenneth Walker for Michigan State. This year, it's more of a by-committee system, right? Yeah, Jalen Berger and Jarek Broussard back there, who both have been excellent for Michigan State up to this point. And this Washington Huskies rushing defense is going to have their hands full. But hey, welcome back Michael Penix. The former Indiana transfer is going to come back and play an old Big Ten foe and an old divisional foe, if I may say that, in the Michigan State Spartans. Michael Penix has been good for Washington so far, but this is a Spartan defense that is pretty good and highlighted by that final bullet point there. But Washington's offensive line versus Michigan State pass rush. Again, much like that Texas Tech and NC State game, one of them is going to have to give. And this is a Spartan rushing attack that has been pretty good up to this point. Or not rushing attack, pass rush. This is a Spartan pass rush that has been pretty good up to this point, and a Washington offensive line that has a lot of experience on it and at times has looked shaky, but for the most part, the offensive line has looked fine. And it's going to get a real test this week. But the thing that I want you to watch in this game, Michael Penix, how does he play? This is a big game. Definitely not the biggest game of Michael Penix's career. That probably would have been last year against Ohio State. Or not last year, in 2020 against Ohio State, mind you. But, I mean, this is a big deal. Not only for Washington, but for Michael Penix. Washington's the 3.5-point favorite for a reason, guys. Do not count out this Washington team. They were miserable last year. Yet this is a much improved Huskies football team. They play better. They play with more tenacity, more style. I think Michael Penix has brought a new life into this offense. And I think Washington comes away with the upset win here. I really do. I got him winning this game by 4. I like what Michael Penix brings. This Michigan State secondary, I still have questions about. Penix, we've seen, has the ability to take deep shots down the field and hit on them. Michigan State, I think, is going to have a good day on the ground, but scratch that. I think Michigan State's offense is going to have a good day, period. I just think that with this Washington team, I think they are much improved this year, and they're the favorites in Vegas for a reason, guys. Do not count out the Huskies in this game. I have them winning this one by 4. This is the primetime game on ABC. SMU and Maryland are playing in what's a very much flying under-the-radar type game. Now, both these teams walk into this game 2-0, and both these teams are going to be looking for a huge marquee non-conference win before they try to move into conference play. I know SMU has one more non-con game left after this, the game next week against TCU, but SMU now, they've played their group of 5 opponents, or they played North Texas, they smashed them. They played Lamar, they smashed them. Now having Maryland and TCU back-to-back weeks, boy, this is going to be an interesting little stretch for SMU, but they've proven it so far. We all know what Maryland's passing attack is capable of. This is a very dynamic passing attack, but now we're even seeing that SMU has a really dynamic passing attack, which I think we knew based off of last year, and Maryland secondary has not faced a quarterback like Tanner Mordecai yet. And this is a team that I believe gave up almost 300 yards to Charlotte, 300 passing yards to Charlotte. Now, granted, Charlotte, I still don't believe had their quarterback Chris Reynolds. And also, this is a Charlotte team that, well, you could say a lot of that came in like desperation time, things like that. But I mean, which defense can stop the pass better and coincidentally get more pressure to the quarterbacks? I think either of those are going to have a great shot here to win this game, and turnovers will be key. The one team that's going to come away with that key interception late in the game, maybe middle third quarter to swing the momentum in favor of their team, yeah, that's going to be the team that has the better shot here to win this game. And turnovers, again, like I just said, going to be key. Whoever can make that key interception is going to have a really good shot to win this game. I like both these teams. I think both these teams are going to be good this year. I just think Maryland's passing attack, when I look at these two rosters, I think Maryland has, you could argue whether Talia or Mordecai is the better quarterback. You can debate that all you want. But looking at just the skill players, I think Maryland has a lot more players in the skill position to go ahead and win this game. This one's going to be close, and this one's going to be a shootout. I'm expecting a high-scoring, firework-type affair, 7:30 game on Fox Sports 1, but Maryland has too much offense, and I think Maryland gets it done. 48-45. Yeah, 93 points scored in this game is what I'm predicting. I would put the over on this one. I'm expecting an offensive showdown, and Maryland walks away on top. Just 2 more games here. Let's go now to Texas, where UTSA and Texas are going to be facing off here. And again, Texas now ranked, even though they lost. They pushed Alabama to the brink, and it pushed them into the top 25. And now they're the 12.5-point favorite against a really good UTSA team. Do not count out UTSA in this game. I know some people may look at this game and think, oh, Texas has this easy. Where even is UTSA? What does that stand for? I have no idea. Look, this UTSA team can ball. Both sides have very explosive playmakers, but can Hudson Card deliver a good performance? Again, Quinn Ewers is going to be out for the foreseeable future after that hit he took against Bama. And Hudson Card, not really as dynamic as Quinn Ewers was as soon as he came in to play against Alabama last week. But can he deliver a good enough performance for Texas to come out with a win? Again, this is a UTSA team that's going to score points and is going to get down the field with Frank Harris, Zachary Franklin, Traylon Smith, and a whole lot of other playmakers there as well. But the thing that's at the top, and I think is the thing you got to watch out for, is the Roadrunners offensive line versus the Horns defensive line. This is UTSA offensive line that has struggled at times at protecting Frank Harris, and this is the Longhorns defensive line. Heck, defensive front, look at how much pressure they got against Bryce Young and Alabama. Now, that's an offensive line in Bama that's still suspect and still working through some kinks, but both these programs this week, I think, are going to score points. And I think UTSA, don't be surprised if Texas is only up 3 at halftime. And some of you out there may start to get concerned a little bit about, Texas just played this really good game against Bama. What's happening now? How is UTSA beating them? UTSA has the capabilities to win this game. I don't think Texas is going to let that happen, though. I think Texas pulls away late and is able to go ahead and get this win. 35-24 is what I am predicting the score as. UTSA is going to score points, but this Texas pass rush, especially if it plays like it did last week, is going to be too much for the UTSA offensive front. And I got Texas winning this game here by 11. And the last one I got for you is the biggest matchup of the week, and it is the latest game to kick off that I am previewing here today. That is the 13th ranked Miami Hurricanes and the 24th ranked Texas A&M Aggies. What a game this is going to be. Now, there's a big news story come out of this game up to this point, and that is that Haynes King has been benched, seemingly. It seems like Max Johnson is going to get that starter. The LSU transfer coming over. It seems like he is going to get that start for Texas A&M. So Haynes King has one of the lowest QBRs in the nation so far this year, and they're going to see if Max Johnson's going to be able to kind of put new life into this offense. That the run game has to get going. The pass game has to find its rhythm, has to take some deep shots down the field. This is a Texas A&M offense that needed a spark. We'll see if Haynes King can bring it to them here this week. But let's look at Miami for a second, right? Tyler Van Dyke. I mean, what a dynamic playmaker he is, and he has a lot of dynamic playmakers around him at the running back position in the wide receiver room. This is a Miami team that is dynamic. Offensively, they have some really good plays defensively, and they did their job against Bethune-Cookman and Southern Miss. Even though they did struggle with Southern Miss for a lot of the first half, Miami ended up pulling away from that game, and that's one of those weird things where you look, oh, they're struggling. Miami's not as good. Miami's going to be fine. And guys, I would and I know Texas A&M is the 6-point favorite here. I know a lot of people out there are going to lean towards Miami. And a lot of people out there are going to look at this Miami, look on paper, look that Texas A&M lost to App State, and they're going to think, oh, man, this Texas A&M offense has really got to get moving. And they're going to go ahead and pick Miami. I'm not going to do that. Things are not so bad in Aggie land yet. Things can get worse, especially if they end up losing this game here, which I don't think they do, and let me explain why. When you have a veteran head coach in Jimbo Fisher that knows what he's doing against a first-year, not head coach, but a first-year head coach at this program with first-year staff and some players maybe still trying to figure out the system along with everything else. In Miami, did not play perfect games against Bethune-Cookman, and especially not against Southern Miss. They showed their struggles and they showed their weaknesses, especially last week, again, against the Golden Eagles. This is a Texas A&M team that, guys, I just have a feeling about this game. Something in my gut is telling me to pick Texas A&M, and that Texas A&M is going to win this game. They're going to be more desperate, and I hate using the word desperate, but they're going to be more desperate. They're going to be looking for more of a momentum push going into conference play here in a couple of weeks, and they're going to need to build up momentum before they go play Arkansas here in a couple of weeks, and that's exactly what I think they do. I think Texas A&M narrowly escapes with the win. I think especially hearing the news that Max Johnson is going to start gives a little bit of new life to this offense, and I think Texas A&M goes ahead and beats the 13th ranked Miami Hurricanes. But that's my predictions for what you got in Week 3, and there were some other games I know that I missed. There are just so many good games in non-conference play this upcoming season. So give me your predictions of these games down in the comment section below. Maybe add some other games if you find another game interesting. Thank you guys for tuning into the video. Remember to play hard but tailgate harder. Like, comment, subscribe. Anything like that helps support the channel. And I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.